11 days until we pick up Ella, and we
And
just
put
got
this,
our
and
new
put this on her.
t-shirts, the hybrid family, and then on the back of it,
Hashtag
The
the
hybrid
hybrid family. Today we're talking about when to quit.
if to quit, when to quit,
Right.
reasons to do it or not to.
In
And
general, about quitting.
why did you think about this?
You remember the other day we mentioned that there's an episode on the Tim Ferriss show about this woman, Ann Cole, and she was talking about she was actually a few days away from her medical exam. She put so much energy and work into preparing for
This
it.
is for her MCAT.
Yes. And then, but a few days before that, she said, "You know what? I don't like people complaining to me.
I don't like sick people.
So she just said that I'm just quitting it. I'm not taking the exam and I'm walking away from it.
And it's impressive on a couple levels. Number one, given the Asian family context, because so much pressure was going in there. The second impressive thing about her decision-making process, literally the couple days before her MCAT, is that the whole idea of the sunk cost fallacy was just completely thrown out the window. She has invested so much into it, therefore you shall continue.
Right.
Her ability to be hyper-rational about the decision was really impressive. And
so the reason why I think is a great topic is that it's not just her, but every single day we all face this kind of situation and the choice to quit or not to quit. Of course, for a lot of people, it will be like, are you really staying in a relationship just because you're staying in it? Just because you've been with this person for so long, and should you quit the relationship?
I think that startups, you need to be hyper rational about whether or not something should exist or not. This whole process, which seems like it's freaking every quarter or every year for sure at minimum.
Every time Jing
looks at me in our bank account,
deadline.
I think that it actually is really important because it's a truth serum. It's a sense check of, are you on track?
Mm-hmm. What
does on track mean? Mm-hmm. And then, June, July, August, even with a lot of things that are going well, there are a lot of things going bad. And that is startup life.
Yeah.
When you're at this rocket ship phase, when things just take off, and every business is different, and also your pace is different. And I actually came out of this really summer phase, being through a very difficult time.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, in the past couple of weeks, just kind of getting re-energized.
Just reflect on what your mission is.
It goes back to Simon Sinek's question, like, what's your why? Mm-hmm. It is not because of making money. I have actually felt the pain of this process, and I just have to constantly remind myself about what we're trying to solve.
Right, what the problem is and how it can solve the problem.
And then also recognize that we actually have accomplished a lot for different stakeholders in this business. Mm-hmm. And it's easy to have that judgment clouded by the bad things that go on in business, especially when you're a small team in a startup, under-resourced, and you're just being hit from so many different directions. Mm-hmm. Sometimes you just have to ask yourself these very simple questions. And when it feels complicated, when it feels out of control, whether it's your business, your career, a relationship, you just have to ask the simple questions.
Right.
And then go through that first by yourself, and then ask people that you trust.
Or just like what Jordan did to Jing, is to have a T-chart.
Yes. So, allow me to explain. Before I proposed to Jing, my way of thinking through this decision was to make a T-chart. Pros, cons. I think it's a brilliant idea. Like, What's amazing about her? What's not amazing about her? What's amazing about us? What's not amazing about us?
Hear no evil.
Apparently, the pros and cons chart of her individually and us together, and was not probably the best idea. To me, it was at the time, and then. But I still use that level of analysis with our relationship. We have semi-annual marriage reviews, which has been a fabulous idea, if I must say. I think there's a lot that our marriage can learn from business, like semi-annual business reviews
Just
and
run
T-charts.
this family
and T-charts.
like a corporation.
Yes.
You know, whenever you have meetings, you need to take minutes.
I do.
You need to vote for resolutions.
You tend to win those resolutions. You know what? There was a great episode on Masters of Scale, the podcast, when they were talking about Mark Pincus, the founder of Zynga, and how he developed the attitude of, kill the things that don't work. And
Yes.
he didn't
Why
do
do you
that
spend-
before.
Exactly.
But then there was a fascinating episode when Reid Hoffman, who's founder of LinkedIn, co-founder of PayPal, partner at Greylock, and he has this amazing podcast called Masters of Scale. And so he was talking about the story of Mark Pincus and interviewed him and just Mark Pincus's thought process around when do you kill ideas. And I think there's a false mentality that you shouldn't quit, because some things some things you should not do, and you need to move on. You have the thought process.
It's a sticker that you put on people that it's a negative sticker, but the word can mean so much more. And then what is important is a thought process of quitting, is the analysis before you decide to quit, or decide whether to quit or not. And also, what does it mean when you're raising a kid?
Growing up, my father was an airline pilot. He really was focused on that one thing. My mom's personality was very much experiment with a variety of things, whether it is something entrepreneurial or becoming a page in the North Carolina house for 2 summers, or doing Boy Scouts, or doing golf or swim team or track or whatever it was. Yeah, I was the captain of the swim team.
And the reason,
just to clarify,
you said the reason
Sport.
is because you could yell really
I
loudly.
was the chief motivator, and
and
that's why I was the captain of the swim team.
By the way, were you on what kind of track?
Oh yeah, I was on the track team. I did hurdles, which I didn't.
How tall are you?
At 5'7", hurdles is not the best event for me to do in track. So the point is that what is that balance between you just started piano and, oh, you don't like it? Okay, move on to the next thing. Or listen, you need to reach a certain point and then you can do it.
Right.
And actually, Angela Duckworth in her book Grit discusses this concept and setting up some type of milestone that's predetermined with a particular sport or maybe an instrument, and like, you want to get a guitar? I am more than happy to go buy a guitar, but let's determine the minimum progress you're going to make before you can move on to piano or whatever that is.
So one of the criteria or milestone, it could be you can choose whatever you want to participate in terms of extracurriculum activity, and you're allowed to quit, but you have to stay there for at least 1 semester and try it out. If by the end of semester you're still miserable because even though you can potentially get good at it, when you get to a certain point you still feel like you're hating it, then it's different than you try once and then you quit.
For me, and when I was growing up, I played golf. I was a 3 handicap at golf. I would get out of school at 3 p.m. on the course by 3:30. I played to sundown. That's Monday to Friday. On Saturday and Sunday, get on the course in the morning between 8 and 9 a.m., and I play till sundown. And then in the summer, it's 6 days a week, 7 days a week, traveling. I mean, I played all in middle school, high school, and on the track to do college golf. And then I realized that, towards the end of high school, I just started getting interested in other things.
One of it being
females. And but what I reached that point when my dad was really encouraging me just to stick on it because I'm on the path to college, and I just realized I don't like it anymore. I don't like this lifestyle. And then I had to make that decision. Where do I want to go? Do I want this to be my senior year of high school, then go to college to play golf and get a golf scholarship? And just realized it wasn't for me. And I have not looked back. I have not looked back a single second or not regretted that decision at all about quitting golf. Fair. And also being a pilot. So I got my pilot's license. I'm a fourth generation pilot. I got it on my 17th birthday. And to get my pilot's license, I would wake up in the mornings and I would study before school, 30 to 60 minutes, starting at 6 a.m. to get my written done, go to school. And then after school, I would go and fly. And then during the summer, June, July, August, I would, leading up to August 11th on my 17th birthday, I would study. I worked at the airport. I got my private pilot's license. And I was on the way to become a commercial airline pilot, just like my dad. And then I got into the next stage of it to get my instrument rating and to study for my commercial license, etc. And I just realized I didn't want to be stuck in a cockpit where, most of my interests lie in interacting with people. I love flying, but I didn't want to do that for my career.
You should have become a flight attendant. Then you would have been flying all the time and interacting with other people.
And so that wraps up that segment. And we are done with this episode. So if you have comments, questions, whatever.
And subscribe.
Cool. Before I propose to Jing, no, teach hearts like this.
This is a bad idea. Don't do that sign.
No. We're getting ready for Japan.